want to just like to welcome you to the Scioból Gaoth here in Northwest Donegal. And obviously everybody appreciates we're trying to do this in the middle of a COVID lockdown. And we've all experienced a very severe year of physical and social isolation as a result of COVID. And I think that can be said for sheds everywhere. So just the other thing we want to note before we start is that the only reason we're able to carry out this particular exercise on Zoom, which we're carrying out in, is when you think back a month ago, there were probably only as a result of engagement that we've had with the Donegal Local Development Company. So we want to thank them for them being supportive and positive of us. So they've entered into a project with us where they bought 10 mobile smartphones, and we passed them around the group. And with the help of Mary Cleary, initially we did a first round of basic training with a number of you people. And then later on, then JJ and John and Austin came on board to help get everybody else up to speed, and especially his granddad, who's basically been keeping us on our toes and showing us things. And again, Jack, thanks particularly for the work you've done. I mean, last week when we were working with Mina Dever, who joined us on the train, and like she was so grateful when you showed her how to share screens, etc. So like my thinking is that while we're in men's sheds where the men are much older than you, Jack, there's a lot to be learned from guys like you going forward. And I need you to learn lots so that you can continue to make my pension. So I care about you, Jack, big time. Is this meeting, I'm recording this meeting, so I just want everybody's approval. The purpose of recording the meeting is that it basically will act as the minutes of this AGM for the next AGM. So I think in the future, that's going to be the technology is going to be used rather than have to worry about physical, people writing minutes. That this is a minute, we're all here, this is what's minute. So just to get everybody's approval for this, I'd just like you to just put up your hand physically. We won't go through the system, and just wave your hand to say that everybody's in approval of recording this. So Terence, yeah, so we've got everybody there. Excellent. So the sequence we're going to use tonight, guys, is we'll try and get through our business quickly, which is me. Then I'm going to give a brief overview of the finances of the group. Then we're going to the process of the election of the officers for the group going forward. And tonight, the event, what we're going to choose, there will be 4 positions up for selection. 1 is chairman, 2 is secretary, 3 is treasurer, and the other is vice chairman. And we closed the nominations for these positions last night. So nominations and seconders have been appointed, or sorry, have put in the information, and therefore we can. So the first thing I just want to do, have a brief overview. It's 2021 now. Somewhat over 5 years ago, we set up the first committee in the shed, and you guys entrusted in me the rather easy task of trying to be a chairman on this shed. And what we've come through, as you all know, we have a 2,800 square feet facility in the industrial estate in the Scioból in Gaoth, and it's like 40 foot high, so it's a fabulous volume of air that's in that space. But when we went in there first, it was really an empty space. In modern Ireland, we'd put a working person, and health and safety wouldn't have allowed people to be left in there. And really over the last 5 years, you guys in the shed and those who have passed through and have visited us and helped us, and many of your friends have come along and helped us, we've managed to transform that shed into a facility which has a fine kitchen in it. It has a fine, clean, safe toilet up to scratch. It has 2 very good rooms, and in which we've been able to, there's 2, the most wonderful things people ever come and enjoy: playing cards, enjoy meeting, chatting, watching television, playing sport, all that stuff. And we have a wonderful bowling alley, or bowling lane upstairs. And that's all due primarily to the work of all you guys. There's nobody else. And the other thing is, I mean, it's important to record that the level of outside statutory support for our operations over the last number of years has been relatively negligible. And it's one of my things that I'd like to put on record is it's a complete failure by the state to understand the difficulties for a group like this to come together. The Gaoth Fund, who a couple of years ago, really, they gave us €6,000, which helped us do this. But for the overall sums of money over the last 5 years that we might have gone in of maybe 20,000, like you guys have produced a facility which has added more than €70,000 worth of value. So that's your labour and work that has happened. So that brings us to, obviously, the last year, even have kept in contact with each other is an unmerciful difficulty for everybody. And so on the other hand, going to be very central to that. And I just think it's timely. We've brought the shed from a position of, I think if we had been left with the shed we were in 5 years ago during COVID, I think it's fair to say that we would have just given up as a group. But I think there's a shed now worth fighting for, worth maintaining, worth building. And I think as things come out of COVID, a lot more people in the community will value the shed, and hopefully the shed numbers will increase. So for me, I'm delighted. One, I'd like to thank every individual here personally for your personal support to me, and also for looking out for each other over this period of time. I mean, that's critical. And to say that the new energy, which hopefully will in a year's time, the vision I think will be that that shed will be not only there as it is present, but the infrastructure in the shed is a long-lasting infrastructure. But hopefully the shed will move onwards and upwards from there. The other, I suppose, promising thing goes forward. When we look at the finances, yeah, we're in the red to some extent, but we have a wonderful infrastructure at the moment. The other thing is that when we started 5 years ago, we really had no structure in terms of even being able to know where to apply for grants. But things like clearance details, getting on the vendor charts for the various agencies that have been achieved. Last year has been a particularly bad year for getting resources, given the fact that all sorts of emergency COVID facilities there. Certainly the numerous applications we put in were just thrown in the bin. However, I think going forward, there's great hope. The other thing is that the relationship that we've developed or developing with the Donegal Local Development Company, I think is positive insofar as in speaking to them, they say they're going to offer support to develop their governance skills. So I think the very fact that we're carrying this AGM out in COVID time on Zoom tonight is a wonderful reflection on that. So that's essentially my report to date. I'm just thinking, as it just struck me there, of the wonderful work that this group did in the community, whether it be to the Nianra over beside the library there, where a couple of years ago we built a fabulous facility for the kids, and also the wonderful community work this group has done with the SALT weekend concert, which again, but it will come again. The other work that was done with bringing the people from across the way in for their Christmas party from Tubber. I think that's a wonderful thing. And also things like putting up the Christmas lights, getting cribs ready for the old folks home, etc. Look at the shed does wonderful work in the community. And also I think the shed has been a place where people have found for themselves a bit of company and a bit of crack. There's a guy in Scotland recently designed to find a shed. I think a shed is a place where men can go dream and drink tea and dream, which I think is a wonderful as it is. I hope that's brief and I hope it covers things. But if anybody'd like to come on briefly and just maybe put on the record any of the other things that we've achieved over the last 4 or 5 years, just for the record. So we've Thomas coming back in there. If you are, just come off mic when you want to talk and say something, and then we'll move on to the next section.
Well, I'd like just to say that.
Okay, now again.
Sorry. I'd just like to say that when I moved up here, it's about 2.5 years ago now, and when I joined the Scioból, it was great. And it was like, it's really wonderful what's been done in those 2 years to actually modify and make it a comfortable place to go and to work and to sit down. It's, yeah, congratulations to everybody.
Yeah, and also just to say, Dara, when I moved up here in the start of 2015, Micheál there, my neighbour, invited me to join, and it led me into a whole layer of relationships with people here. And I think everybody who's ever visited a shed, many people, as we found in lots of other sheds as well. So what I'll do is I'll just briefly move on to the next section. And if viewers are watching this in the future, just remember that we, as a group of people, as through most of society, there's no normality about how people can carry these type of activities on together. And this has not been our norm, and it's not in our culture. So we're learning how to do these. And I suppose because I just told everybody before, and we're trying to record this and have a formal meeting, maybe not. But anyway, I'll just move on to, so what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to share, sorry, Darry, yeah?
Yeah, Michal, just to let you know that you are still, I don't know if you want to go on pause your recording and try and sort this out, because every minute or so there's a big blank.
Right.
Now Zoom speeds up your voice then afterwards, but there's always a chunk that's missing.
Okay, so what I think I'll do is I'm going to move on to audio on a different device. I'll switch this audio off. I'll try and switch on, because it's still recording tonight. We should try and do this. I mean, okay. So I'll kill this audio and I'll just...
Liam?
Yeah.
Liam, Padder's with us here now. If you could send through the code for him to, the link to get into the meeting here. He hasn't got it just yet.
Okay, what I'll try and do, JJ, is I'm going to try once more to send the link into the WhatsApp phone that he has. Okay, that's all I can do. I'm going to post the link. I'm going to post the link once more into WhatsApp.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hopefully, and so but just
that's fine. Okay.
So just one moment. Okay, so just if you'll tell Heather that the last link he was sent through, it says join Zoom meeting, will bring him into this meeting. Okay, that's about the bit. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to share a screen with you, and basically it's some sort of a version of what let's see. So okay, so what I'm really trying to do is encapsulate the present financial status of the shed. Now, there's a whole set of documents that really go back over the last 5 years, where there have been not a huge number of grants, but for a group like us, I mean, if we got €1,500 off one crowd or €1,000 for another crowd, it's critical for us. But I wanted to look at basically the state of play that we're at the moment. So I just want to, check so I need to stop that video and just start this. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, we can all see. Just come on, Mike, and can you confirm that you can see that sheet, that chart? And
yes, we can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, just to explain again to viewers from the future, we live in an era where sometimes we have unstable broadband or machines crash, etc. I imagine that in this time next year, a lot of these difficulties won't emerge. However, what I want to look at is in this setup here, I want to look firstly at, so our accounts are held in Core Common Credit Vasa Guidor, so it's the local credit union. And we have two accounts there called a main account and a flexi account. So the flexi account is the account from which the rent is paid once a month. And the rent, if you just look at, so I'm using my mouse to go around there, maybe highlight that section there, not sorry, this one. So that block there, the rent that we pay to the Rosna Gaeltachta, so we have a lease with them, which the rent we pay is €168 a month. Okay. And just shooting down into this section down here, if you look at this block, that projects into €2,116 a year. All right. So that's the sort of the singular recurring cost that we have going forward. So at the moment, as of the end of February, there was €625 in the Flexi account. So that's the standing order in that account, goes out on the first of every month. So as of now, that will have been reduced by €168 because that was paid on the 1st of March. But there's enough money in there to meet the rent over the next 3 months. So if we take if we take 168, it brings us basically into the end of March, April, May. Okay. And then in the other main account, there's €14. Right. So basically that's what we have. We have enough money at the moment to pay the rent for the next 3 months. And that's where we're at. Now, I wanted down here, we have outstanding monies owed. So, so you might ask, where do these sums come from? Given the fact that in the major transformation that took place in the shed since 2018, which Dara referred to, wherein all those internal works were built, I suppose our output was somewhere in the region of €20,000. We had a shortfall of significant sums of that money. However, I decided that for me, that the investment of getting the materials in there, given that all you guys were putting the work for nothing into this, meant that we got great value for the money we spent. And at the moment, the good news is while the money owed to me until recently was up to 6,000, that has now been reduced to €3,000, or sorry, €2,781, as a result of whatever little bits of grants, etc., we got in last year. We can discuss. I mean, essentially, last year was a poor year for grants. We managed to get some ETB training grants, from which we managed to recover some money. We got a grant of €1,000 from the UDRAS. So second to that, then underneath, then there's a set of invoices or receipts there on investments that were made and ongoing investments for things that were done in the shed during the year 2020 and during the period when COVID allowed us to be there during the summer period, etc. And those costs come to €576.76. And again, all the good news is there's a whole set of receipts, etc. But the relevance of the receipts, not just for accountability purposes, but I mean, in the event that we could find some funding to resource this, we have plenty of receipts to justify where these monies were spent. So that's an important thing. So the overall figure that, if you look at where we're in the red to the tune of €3,358. Okay. Now, when I say that, if we look back over the last 5 years and look around the shed and what's there, we have wonderful value for that. And the infrastructure in the shed is such that what we've done will last for 10 years. I mean, if you went in there now and you might see the lights gone in the kitchen, for example, or in the first room, that it would appear that they were a type fault with those new LED lights. And I just took delivery today of a replacement set of lights. When I got onto the manufacturer, they sent me a different type of light. So those lights will now be replaced. And this money also includes a replacement drive, variable speed drive for the extractor, which has been purchased and is available and ready and to go in when we can open the shed. So then briefly to look at if we were to look forward, this is speaking to the new committee, what's coming down the line is the yearly insurance for the shed runs at, this is the quotation for this year, of €927, similar to last year. Again, whether it's possible to renegotiate those things, but it runs at €927. It's possible that this money can be paid on over, I think, a 5 or 6 month period on a monthly basis. So it doesn't all have to be met up front. The other figure, which fell by the wayside last year because it runs sort of from August to August. So it wasn't renewed at the end of August last year, but that's the officers and directors liability protection, of €168 a year. To explain what that is, that whoever's taken up the position, it's not fair on those, that if anything were to happen in the shed and a claim was to land, that it protects the officers of the committee from being jointly or severally liable in their own personal right. So I think all the shed, we owe it to those people that this is paid. And then the other one for the next year. So it's 2,000, but 2,000 would pay the rent on, if we were to, like the rent will be, if we just work with the €625 we have, we could afford our rent would be paid till May. So €2,000 would bring us into the middle of 2022. So I consider that all in all, given where the shed is, that it's in a healthy situation for the group going forward. The other thing is, I think that the resurgence of energy that's there among the new committee, plus I think a bit of focus on what sort of how we raise those funds. I mean, my personal view, my recommendation to the committee going forward is that I think the shed should try and cover its own basic costs, so you're not in the gift or control of other statutory agencies. And I think so. The overall, my sense is that if you had €5,000 a year to, which is €100 a week, to maintain the shed, the shed wouldn't need to be begging from anybody. The other thing is, I don't believe sheds should, my personal view, I don't believe sheds should be such that you're working day and night just to pay the cost of it. Now, sheds are there to maintain your own mental and physical health. So just that's that part of the AGM. I just, again, come on, Mike, if anybody would like to ask a particular question or if there's some glaring oversight on my part, again, to say that while we haven't had we've been under pressure in the last year in terms of getting structures together, all the documentation is there. And whereas at the start we didn't have receipts to get monies, etc., because we spent a lot of physical money on things, we spent a lot more money than we ever got in on grants. And particularly in relation to the local councillors, they have in their gift numbers of thousands of euro every year, which they could attribute to us. And if you get money like that, then you can actually apply for money you spent over the last 3 years. So I believe that, they should be approached by the new committee to help clear off the back debt that we have and that we can work forward. The other thing, the information is there are 2 grant applications at the moment in play. One is an emergency COVID grant. And so I've completed those things and put them in. They really cover things which would help the shed get off the ground again in a COVID safe way. They talk about air purifiers, safety equipment in sheds, reorganizing the structure of the shed that it would be COVID compliant, and providing for the technology that could allow us to develop this sort of thing. And there's also another one for the Community Enhancement Fund. Now, they sought thousands of euro for those, but I think that's important for this new committee to work on advertising and marketing of what we're actually doing in COVID, and showing that what the efforts of this shed are worth and justified and supported. So briefly, I think I can welcome Padder. Padder's there. So how are you, Padder? I'm sorry about the technology, but look, at this is the first. Next year this will be a lot easier. So briefly, if anybody would like to come in and make a comment, after we lift the comments, I'll ask people to put up their hands to show if they approve of the financial position in relation to the shed. So any comments or queries? Yeah, Bernard, so just come on mic there.
Yeah, well, for one, I'm sure everyone will do the same thing, but I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Liam, for everything that you've done for us over the last while. It's much appreciated.
Okay, no, look at that. I mean, one of the things that, I'm very frustrated tonight, but not with people. I'm frustrated at trying to put all the information together in the shed because, I think in alignment with lots of sheds throughout the country, guys like to be doing things in the shed, whether it's cutting up wood or fixing things or doing something. People want to do that. And nobody really wants to do the paperwork in a shed. But unfortunately, I think there's a realization now that we need to do that. And also, I think the energy going forward will support that. And the other thing is, as this new committee goes forward, I think I'll be able to play a better and more productive and supportive role in helping with getting this technology on board. I won't bother showing it, but there is a complete folder infrastructure. I mean, we're at a point now where there's some paperwork from the past, but all of the grant applications and stuff that has gone in the last year has all happened online. So it's all digital. So, I mean, it can be accessed from anywhere at any time by any sets of people. And I'm hopeful in the new committee that this new committee will be able to use Zoom to have regular meetings to keep in contact with everybody and to use those technologies. So anyway, thanks for that, Bernard. Any other queries or comments, or more importantly, maybe things that were left unsaid or unincluded? You need to unmute if you want to speak, JJ. Again, just unmute your mic, anybody who wants to say anything.
Well, again, Liam, I would like to concur with what Bernard said there. I think that the shed and the members of the shed owe you a debt of gratitude. You've put your heart and soul into the success of the shed so far, and I know that you'll carry on that way. But just by way of mention, I think that Bernard needs a wee bit of praise there this evening. Bernard's efforts to get donations for the shed is very welcome, and I would like to thank him for that too.
Yeah, maybe I suppose, like, rather than just be thanking individuals, apart from me, that is, guys. No, but I think everybody in the shed in their own way has contributed in whatever way they could. And I think it's that variability of things that is going to keep the shed going. I think what we'll have to look is, you know, when we moved into that shed, there was half of the shed was filled up with junk from the previous occupants, which was no value to us. So it took us a long time even to clear that. And the other thing is that, I mean, the good thing is that there is a trail of photographs and videos that I've collected and others have collected over the last couple of years. And I expect my next journey will be to try and make a documentary of that progress over the years. So look, in order to keep things moving along, if there are no more questions about the accounts, again, I would just ask everybody who approves to just put up your hands and say, we approve of the financial situation, that it's a reflection on what has happened, etc. So excellent. Okay, we'll just move on now to the appointment of officers for the new period going forward. And again, what we asked in setting this up, that we tried to put some sort of protocol in place that by 7 o'clock yesterday evening, as Tuesday evening, that nominations and seconders would be in for the various positions. So I received, and I asked that they be put up on Facebook Messenger as a way in which we could do it. So the positions that were up for voting on or for selection were the chairman, vice chairman, secretary and treasurer. So there have been nominations and seconders for each of those positions, and there only has been one person nominated for each, which as a result of it means those people will be deemed to have been appointed without or elected without a vote. So we had Austin, who was proposed by, I believe, by JJ and seconded by me as the chairman. We have Mihal, and who was proposed by Austin and seconded by me. And again, there may have been more than one proposer and one seconder, but just for the record, that everybody, at least one proposer and one seconder. And then there was JJ in the position of treasurer, who was proposed by Austin and seconded by me, and Pather, who was proposed by JJ and who was seconded by me, among others, let's say. So again, thanks very much in these hard times under these. We're not used to doing this, that everybody has stepped up to the plate to comply with that. So I'd like to congratulate the 4 people who are taking up those positions. I think every one of you have proven over the last number of years your focused interest in the shed. And I think it's important to put on record that, you know, shed is a reflection on real life, where we have skirmishes and ups and downs, etc. And I think the fact that we're still here tonight is a credit to the fact that everybody has hung in there and stuck in together. And I think we can learn from this going forward. I just want to thank particularly, I suppose, Austin as the vice chairman, because in a lot of the time, through whatever ill health or other stuff, that I might not have physically been around the shed, Austin has had to carry the brunt of trying to, I suppose, put square pegs into round holes. Okay. I also want to thank Peadar in his position as treasurer. I mean, I know that, we're in a point where technology now forces itself upon us. But from the very outset, I mean, Peadar was known by everybody to be a safe pair of hands, and managed to, I suppose, secure whatever levels of funding that we got from the collection of our own contributions. And it's a thankless job, because there was times when you're just getting bags of coins, Peadar, and you probably need a special bag to lift them home. And in the present world, in a year's time, you probably won't know what cash is anymore. And in the different ways in which people have helped over the years, I'd like again to thank Terence for his Trojan work over the last year and a half since we put that kitchen in, and to keep and put shape on the place. And also to JJ and Jimmy, who've done wonderful work, which building things which will be able to sell and raise money for the sheds. And to Bernard and Paul, and say the particular work they did on Bernard McFadden's trailer and getting it together, and for which Bernard McFadden had donated those fabulous extractors to the shed. And for Thomas for coming along and hanging in, and particularly more recently, Thomas, for your engagement with the Zoom training. I mean, Mary had said how helpful you particularly were in helping others. And again, want to say to Connie for allowing Jack. I know you allowed Jack to do all the buttons. You knew how to do them yourself. So just giving him a chance, Connie. But he has helped you maintain your bluffer status very well. So again, thanks, Jack, and I hope you're at many of these to come. And again to Dara, because of Dara's, I know your father's age and health exposure such that it has meant that you've had to, as we all have had to have the privacy and bubble. But I think this new environment will allow us to continue to communicate even when we can't see each other physically. And very much to John Coyle. I mean, John, your personal health situation has physically meant that you haven't been able to come to the shed except for the wonderful singing sessions, what we've done. But I mean, your support through the last number of weeks in terms of trying to get this Zoom off the ground is powerful. And just to say to everybody here that every Monday and Friday from 10:30 till 12, the shed is hosting a tea and chat session for anybody in the world who would like to join us here at Guido, or just for a bit of crack and a bit of fun and somebody to talk to. Tomorrow will be the third week that we've had it. And we've had people from all over England. We've had people from around Ireland, different places, plus people in the shed, plus other men around the shed, and women from the community who haven't been in the shed before. But I think as we expand our consciousn's about what a shed is, they can be part of that. We've made many new friends in sheds in other countries. We had a man from Australia join us last week who was half 9 at night for him. It was 10:30 in the morning. And I hope and expect that that's going to be some area that is going to grow a lot. So I'm just, again, I'd like to congratulate the new officers. That's Austin as the chairman. So I think we could have a little bit of a show of hands for everybody who's going to be in there. Let me see it. And so it's for Austin as chairman. It's for Mihal as secretary, for JJ as treasurer, and for Peadar as vice chairman. And just to say that I hope to be able to put in the effort to try and help support the group to develop a competency with technology that will serve us well going forward. And I think if we work together the same way we've worked on Zoom, I think that'll be very powerful. So without any further ado, I think the last part of the official business of the meeting would be an AOB section. So this is an area that if anybody would like to just throw something into the pot, maybe thoughts for the group going forward. The process, what happens when this meeting ends, all the information will be handed over by me to the new officers, and they will take over the direction of the group, to serve the purpose of the shed and to serve you guys. So if you want to just raise any other business, Just to explain, I hope this recording will work. There were obviously some problems with the technology. I hope it does. And I hope to be able to then publish this on our Facebook page as an example of what we've been able to try and achieve during COVID. So before I leave, I'll certainly do a quick check-in with everybody just to give everybody a chance to say hello to yourselves in the future. But just on the any other business, if someone would like to offer up anything, just come on, Mike, and speak there, okay?
Hello, Liam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to nominate Liam as president of the shed, as advisor, and I would also like him to be the spokesperson for the shed as far as the Donegal Shed, Men's Shed Society, and the same as in Donegal or the Irish Men's Shed, to be a spokesperson for us.
We would like to second that too.
Okay, guys, look, I appreciate that, and I think that I think there's unfinished business for our shed, both in a Donegal network. I mean, at the moment, the Donegal Men's Shed network really hasn't lived up to the capacity that it should have, and it's punching below its weight. And I think it's very important that men's sheds collaborate together in order to make their voices heard and to demand the sort of statutory supports that men are entitled to in this state. And certainly I will do my best to represent that interest. Okay, so thanks, Austin, for that.
Thank you, Liam.
And I just want to say that I haven't spoken a number of you the last number of days. I think that there's a lot of goodwill towards helping this group of people moving forward. And I think there are other positions that will evolve that you think are relevant. But I think it's important, get the ship stable. I know over the last couple of months, we thought the financial position was actually worse than it was, but because of the efforts, and I want to make just no thanks here to Mary Cleary, because of her efforts with us over the last year, even with those ETB grants, we've been able to pull in money, which has knocked down those costs. So they're not astronomical, and it shouldn't certainly put us off moving forward. Okay. So what I'll do is just in order to go, I'd like to go around the group here, just say hello to everybody. So I'll ask you to come on mic and just say hello and goodbye as we do a checkout. I think one thing we're learning in Zoom is when we meet up to just have a chat with it, say how everybody is, and what we call a check-in. And this is just a generalized checkout sense. And look, for those looking at this in the future, whereas it's strangers or ourselves looking back on what we've done here after a year of horrific isolation and lockdown, although we live in a beautiful place which nurtures us here in West Donegal. And the fact that we're still, as the fella says, I'm still standing, the fact that we're still standing is a mark to everybody's resilience. So John, maybe you just come on mic and say a few words.
Congratulations to everybody involved. I don't know if you can hear me. My voice has been my voice is a wee bit kind of a throaty. But congratulations, Austin. Well done. And Vice Chairman and JJ and all the boys, everybody in Pada, everybody involved. Good luck to these guys. I wish you all the very best on your own going forward. And I would like to take this wee opportunity to say exactly what the rest of you are thinking, and would like to say, Liam, 10 out of 10. You've done your best this last 5.5 years, and then as JJ and Austin, the boys said, I don't think you could have done anything better. And I don't think going forward we can get you. The boys can learn off of you. You're a great ambassador towards the men's shed. You've gave your heart and soul to it, and all the boys can do now and going forward is really take advice, take people's opinion, and maybe basically just go forward with a 100% good attitude, and this. I think they've got a great setup up there. It's one of the best in Ireland. But as far as giving my opinion now, I can't give it because I'm not there anymore. So all I can do is say wish you all the best. If I can help out in the future, I will. That's it to my best of my ability. But good luck to these guys. I'll call in now and again, and as I've said to a few people, I can always go on Zoom and have a chat with you and see how you are doing. But as far as until I get my injections, I'm kind of still isolating. But good luck to you. I wish you fucking all the best.
Okay, thanks, John. So maybe you mute there, and Dara, you might come on.
Yeah, well, nice to see everybody again. Cohortes to all the boys who are going to lead the show now. Fair play to you for standing up. And Gurmina Milamagat to Liam as well, again, for everything that he has done for the last number of years. And I'm sure that he's going to be full of advice and goodwill in the future as well. But I'm sure he's going to have a break, which is well deserved as well after the time and energy that he's put into the shed. So,
okay, Dara, that's good. Yeah. So, JJ, if you'd just like to come in and maybe give Jimmy and Patter just a chance to say hello and goodbye or whatever.
Yeah, I'll do that, Liam. I've probably said enough already, so it's over to Jimmy first of all.
Hi, good luck to the team and looking forward to working with you, and thanks for everything, Liam.
Okay, that's good, Jimmy. So maybe just Patter say a quick hello. So
I'll go along with what Jimmy said there. I have nothing more to say. Okay.
All right, Patter, good man. So Connie and Jack, a little duet from you guys.
Yes, hello there. And congratulate the team that's in now, and they're safe enough because there's a good man behind them to keep them right. So that's about all I can say.
All right, Connie, that's super. So Micheál, you just have to unmute your mic there, Micheál. That's it.
Hello.
Yeah.
A big thank you to you, Liam, for what you've done in the last 5 years, putting up with us. You've done amazing work, and thank you again from all of us.
Okay, thanks, Micheál. Terence?
Well, what everybody said there, I'd just like to concur with it. Aye, fine, no bother.
Good. So, Thomas, just a quick one to come on there.
Thanks, Liam, for everything you've done for the last 5 years. All the best to the team.
Good. Excellent. All right. So, Bernard?
Yeah, same as. Thanks again, Liam. And I know you're stepping down, but we're not going to let you get too far away from us at the same time. But hopefully when that's all calms down, and then hopefully the next 5, 6, 7 weeks we'll all be able to get together for a good chat like the old times.
Okay, excellent. So Paul?
Yeah, Liam, I'd like to say again, as the boy said, you've done fantastic work over the 5 years, and wasn't easy at any time, and with paperwork especially, and a big thanks, and I wish good luck to Austin and Micheál and all the lads there that are going to take it over. Best good luck in the future to you all, lads. Well done.
Okay, so just before I hand over the last word to Austin, who's your new chairman, I just reflecting back that when I was asked to do this role 5 years ago, I had no interest whatsoever. I mean, I came up here to Donegal so that I could walk the beaches and reflect and write stuff. Just that's all I wanted, just explore things in my head. That's all I ever wanted. I was most happy in the shed when I was chopping up bits of wood. Well, what I said is that I would serve on two purposes. I would serve the cause if people agreed two things. One, that we would still be there in 5 years' time. And I'm really happy, given the last particular year of COVID, that we are still there and standing. And the second thing is that if we all undertook to leave the shed in a better state than we find it, and I think there's measurable evidence of the fact that it's much, much better we found it. So I would wish for the group of people looking forward. I look forward to 2025 in a world that we have no idea what it's going to be like. And just say to wish that group of people well. I mean, as I say, Austin and Micheál, they're not 50 yet. They won't admit to that, but they are in their 50th year, as the fella said. So in 10 years' time, I mean, and that 10 years is going to be a phenomenal change in the human race and what's going on. The point is, over the next 10 years, lots of people who are co-ishig of yours will move into an age that they'll find men's sheds more interesting for themselves. So it's a wonderful thing that your age and energy is what's there to drive this thing forward. So I wish you all the best of luck and commit my service and support in relation to that. So I'm going to hand over to you as the new chairman, basically to sing us out, Austin, all right?
Hello. I want to thank everybody for putting their trust in me. I'd like to thank Mary most of all for all the work she's done.
He wants to thank you. She's just walking in there. This was good timing, Austin, here.
Yeah.
Austin wants to thank you.
Everybody likes to thank Mary. Thank you, Mary.
Sorry, go ahead, Austin, yeah.
Just on behalf of everybody, we'd like to thank you, Mary, for all the help you've done.
I can't hear what you're saying.
He's just saying he'd like to thank you. No,
but you're welcome.
I just hope that the recordings, etc., come up.
Yeah.
So, Austin, I think what we do is, again, all these things are tricky in terms of recording. I just, before everybody leaves, I'll just kill the recording now, and then we can just say goodbye to each other properly then. So you should hear something saying the recording's going to stop now.